We have to have the masses of American people imagine themselves as black people as much as they can to generate empathy, to say they must speak up and they must demand changes in their own communities to go along with what's happening. And I thought de Blasio yesterday, by saying black lives and brown lives matter, makes a big difference, because when that language gets repeated by white tongues, white brains can follow suit, and souls can at least be trained in a different way.
All right, folks, there's Michael Eric Dyson, and joining us now is Walter E. Williams, distinguished economist at George Mason University and syndicated columnist. And, of course, you've heard him filling in for Rush Limbaugh. Hello, Walter.
Good afternoon.
Good to talk to you again. Thanks for coming on. You wrote a great piece, Can Racial Discrimination Explain Much? And, you talk about so many things. But let's what is going on here? Tell me exactly what is going on here. It seems like we're living in this, it's every socialist's and radical leftist dream right now, is it not?
Well, yeah, I think so. Then people are just asking for a bigger role for government. But in terms of the column that you mentioned is titled "Can Discrimination Explain Much?" And so if people are concerned with the problems that black Americans face, well, then I think that the first order of business is correct diagnosis, to diagnose the problem correctly. And if you look at it, racial discrimination does not explain very much. That is, if you look at the education achievement of blacks, where the black students are graduating from high school, if they graduate, that their academic proficiency is at the level of a sixth or seventh or eighth grader who is white, and so there's a fraud in education, and this occurs in the very cities where black is a mayor, black is chief of police, and superintendent of schools. For example, in Philadelphia, at one time, the Philadelphia public schools employed 500 school police officers, and in 2011, and there are probably different statistics today, close to 700 teachers were assaulted. Now, if we have this kind of thing going on, well, what can happen to education? Now, one of the arguments in the case of Ferguson, some of the complaints were, well, gee, it's only 3 black policemen on the police force in Ferguson. Well, that's a statistic in and of itself, but we might want to ask how many people came and took the exam to become a police officer and could not pass it because of the rotten education that the students receive in so many schools. If you look
that's a great point. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you look at and this is the same in cities like Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, Cleveland. It's the social atmosphere for upward economic mobility is completely absent. And if you talk about, if in terms of being able to make it in our society, you have to become educated. And what's required for a person to become educated? And it's not rocket science. I mean, I point out in the column, look, somebody, whether the student is black, white, orange, polka dot, whether he's rich or poor, somebody must make the student do his homework. Somebody must make sure that he gets 8 to 9 hours. Somebody has to give him a breakfast. Somebody has to make sure he respects and obeys teachers. Now, if those things are not done, then I don't give a damn how much money you put in education. Education is not going to occur. And then you ask, which one of those things that I just said that are necessary for kids to do well in school, which one can be done by the president, by black politicians, by superintendents, by teachers? No, and if they're not done, there's no hope.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And you know what? By extension, talking about, and when I started off by saying every socialist dream, every radical leftist dream, I'm talking about the protests, the media coverage of the protests, this nonstop narrative that blacks are being hunted by white police officers. But again here, a solution to this, and I haven't heard it from the mouths of Obama, from Holder, certainly not from Sharpton or Jackson, from even the analysts on the CNN and those shows. Hey, teach your kids never, in the case of Ferguson, to hit a cop, and in general, teach your kids to obey the police. But
Well,
that would solve or help solve the problem.
Yeah, of course, and that's not to deny that there are policemen who are ugly, who are nasty. But you know what my stepfather used to always tell me. He used to say, when you have your head in the lion's mouth, you better play with him. And so, but then there's another issue. It's I'm sure by the close of this year, 7,000 blacks will have been murdered. 7,000.
Yeah, and you talk about that in your piece. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you say, well, I mean, if you're concerned about as these people are saying, that black and brown lives are worth something, well, you know, it seems like you have to do something about these 7,000 people who were not killed by policemen.
You would think so, Walter, but that doesn't fit the narrative, of course, and that's very sad and unfortunate.
No, but,
Walter,
and
have
they
yourself
exploit guilt.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Hey, Merry Christmas to you if we don't speak beforehand, and thanks for all you do for the show, sir.
Okay, and thank you. Okay, bye.
Take care. Walter E. Williams, ladies and gentlemen, great columnist and economist and broadcaster, and it's so true. And he speaks the truth, and he's unafraid to speak the truth. And again, truth is what's lacking. Truth is what's lacking in this coverage. Whether you agree with the grand jury decision on Staten Island or not, truth is what's lacking. We haven't seen one shred of evidence except one video. And yet everybody's got their decision that the grand jury's wrong. All right, we'll be back with a professor of social justice and political science at the University of Washington, Dr. Christopher Parker. This should be good. After the break, but first, here is your Max to Health moment. This is about the benefits of yoga.
We all have had our own perceptions about yoga. For some, it sounds hippie-ish or something their kid would do, but to others, it's a way of life. Perceptions are not reality, and yoga, no matter what your age, has many medical benefits.
You're never too old to start yoga. It's better to start now than to never start at all. And when you start now and you start to gain your practice, you'll become more comfortable when you start doing your yoga practice, and you'll find your path. So there's all different types of yoga, and whatever you're looking for, whether it's gaining flexibility, to de-stressing, to moving from a centered place, or even gaining muscle tone. There's so many benefits to it.
Go at your own pace. Yoga can be done in a comfortable sitting position, standing up, or lying down. With the slow, gentle movements of yoga, you're able to stimulate and relax every part of the body and alleviate muscle and joint pain. There are also poses designed to improve your digestive system.